Hello and welcome to Top Landing Gear as we continue our adventures in Lincolnshire, Bomber County. Although this week's podcast couldn't be further removed from the might of the bomber or the crackling roar of the Eurofighter Typhoon featured in our previous pods. In fact, I'm going to ask for a bit of silence because this podcast is all about gliding. We were treated to a fabulous afternoon's flying with the Trent Valley Gliding Club at Curtin in Lindsey, and each one of us was blown away by what was a thrill. As usual, we'll play a clip of that later in the pod and a full-length version of what we got up to in our Full Flaps edition, which will drop a week after this podcast, so depending on when you're listening to this, it may already be there. First of all, though, a quick reminder of who we all are. More often than not, found gliding effortlessly across a stage with his band Scouting for Girls, our pop star and microlight trainee, Roy Stride.
Hello.
Hello, Roy. Much like the Pumas he used to fly for the RAF, with the gliding characteristics of a brick, our professional pilot and aviation expert, James Garner.
You're going to do a nice one 1 week, aren't you?
I thought that was pretty decent.
Hello.
And spending most of his time sawing rather than soaring, agricultural fencer and quick facts creator, Jez Curling.
Hi, Rob.
Hello, matey.
I'm not sure that works unless you can see it written down.
Sawing and soaring. How's
Okay.
I think it's quite obvious.
Good enough. Thank you. And silent, swift, superb. Broadcaster, brother of Jez, me, Rob Curling. Can I just say that is actually a description of a book about the VC-10. Silent, swift, superb. Yeah, it's that.
Also, isn't that similar
Well,
to...
it's quite quiet because the engines were at the back.
Isn't that quite similar to your commentary on the 50k walking race, which was silent?
Oh, that was just non-existent.
At the Olympics.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a few of those
Yeah.
events where it was pretty quiet because I wasn't expecting to have to commentate on a sport I'd never seen in my life before, like wrestling. I won't be working there again. So, yeah, if anyone had to sit through that, I apologise. So, we're all back together again. It seems like it's been ages. What have we all been up to? Roy, I know that you have landed after a few attempts. Microlight.
Yeah, I had my 13th lesson in the C-42 and we did the circuit. It was only after that we looked in my logbook and I hadn't actually flown for 10 weeks. Wow. So that was my excuse. Anyway, it was the circuit was good, the landing not so good. And
But it was your landing.
I think so.
Oh, hello.
No.
Hello, come on.
Basically,
It was the fourth attempt.
on the
wasn't
first three,
Okay.
Jack definitely took over at some point, rather hurriedly. I remember at one point going, "How do you do this for a living? Like this seems terrifying." And then on the fourth, it came down. I'm pretty sure under my
it? Good.
control. I
Yeah.
think so. It was. It was. It was.
What
amazing
did you
experience.
find difficult? Was it judging your point of where you're aiming for touchdown, point of touchdown, or was it because the slower you get, the more sluggish the controls become, and then it just doesn't seem to react the way it was reacting? I mean, is it?
It's just at that moment, like with the circuit, everything you've learnt about flying is put into practice in a very short space of time.
Yeah.
And so your brain is just doing 100 things at once that it's never done before. And so for me, it was just judging speed, trying to maintain the correct speed whilst losing the correct amount of height without not really knowing where that should be.
So is that more throttle controlled than stick controlled? Or
Yes,
is it,
yeah.
It's scanning everything. It's the fact is you.
What do you know about this?
I don't know. I did it once a long time ago, but you tend
Maybe I should
to.
answer this question.
Yeah. You tend to focus on the one thing that's really important at the time, then forgetting about something else. Like you'll sit there going, "Yeah, I've finally got the right picture. I'm happy with the picture."
Yeah.
Not noticing your speed drops 20 knots, and you go, "Oh, sugar, I've got to do something about that." And then it's just getting it all.
It's because you have to maintain, because obviously you're very close to stalling speed as well.
Yeah.
And then you can't go above, you 10% either side, you would go too fast.
And
for
nothing's
having
second
the flaps
nature
down.
at this stage, is
No.
it? You've got to think about everything.
Yeah, and everything. And while you're thinking about that, something else has happened. Then you're like, oh my God, the runway's over there. How did the runway get over there? This is a really bad thing. Right? So I'm really good at going around.
Good. Well, that's a good thing
It's
to
a
be
skill.
good at,
You've done
isn't
it.
it?
Yeah, but it was amazing. It was
what
so.
it must
Well,
have felt
congratulations
great.
for doing it, mate.
It
It's
was-
a top effort.
Yeah, it was. It's an incredible. Like, I don't feel I've actually properly done it yet because it was, but I just can't wait to get back up there.
Yeah.
It's such a. It's just.
How
incredible.
far through the course are you?
Well, you can go solo. I think legally after 15 hours of instruction, but I'm a long way from that.
Okay.
And I think 25 hours is the minimum. I just because it's we're a year in now and I've done 13 hours and not been prolific, so I'm probably still a long way to go. But I just can't wait to get back up and.
But that pesky singing career keeps getting in the way
Yeah.
of all
Yeah.
But that's the thing because I've looked at I tried to get some dates and my instructor's doing more and more work as well, more and more flying, so it's quite hard to schedule it. But I'd love to do it every day.
Yeah.
But I'm just enjoying the process. I'm
loving
loving
it.
doing
Yeah.
it. So it's I do it for that excitement, that thrill. So if it takes me 3 years, it takes me 3 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I'm in no rush.
Well, we can't wait for our first trip.
I think we can. I think
Don't
we
take
can.
the first trip.
Yeah.
Not your first trip.
I can't wait for that 100th safe trip.
Yeah. Maybe we need to see your track record first.
James, much flying for you?
It's slowly picking up, I'd
Is
say.
it?
We are doing a little bit more. A bit of Africa stuff has come up recently. I think the companies are operating to, I know British Airways have operated to Mauritius now, which is a first. And it's just slowly, but it's not back to anywhere near back to where it was. But things are. I was in the airport the other day, and it just felt a lot busier. There felt to be a lot more people there. So I think short haul is definitely on its way up, with the double jab thing, people being allowed to go on amber lists and green lists. So it looks like there is an improvement in the air, but it's not anywhere near what we need to be yet. But yeah, I've done about 3 trips this month. I'm in the sim tomorrow.
Oh, great.
For a couple of days to do my 6 monthly check, and then
I'd love to see that. I think we're going to have to come down and see you.
that would be
in
quite
the
funny.
sim and record it.
Yeah, and then I'm off to New York on Saturday.
Oh, nice. Jet
Yeah,
set.
that's it.
Lovely.
Living the dream.
Oh, fabulous. Jez, fencing.
Nothing, anything like as interesting as these two. Although I have been on holiday, so that was great.
And you saw lots of aircraft.
I saw lots of aircraft and saw quite a few famous people in Cornwall. Yeah, so that was good. We did a bit of celeb spotting. Reece Priestland,
Oh, yeah, the
rugby player. Annette Crosby,
really?
from One Foot in the Grave.
Yeah.
And our great spin bowler, whose name I've totally forgotten,
Graham
Graham Swan.
Oh, really?
Really?
He
Swanee?
was on the beach
Swanee.
playing cricket with his kids.
No, any
desperate.
good?
He looked right. Yeah, our kids were also playing cricket at the beach at the same time. Was desperate. They were desperate to get his autograph.
Oh,
But by the time we sort of got around to going up to, he was trying to get out of a wetsuit, which was a quite undignified sight. I did actually message Test Match Special because it was during the first test. I said we're on the beach with Graham Swan. My kids are desperate for him to come and join in their game of beach cricket. But as we were about to go and ask him, he decided to leave the beach and was trying to look dignified, get out of a wetsuit, which he was failing to do.
Did you notice anyone go, that's the guy from Top Landing Gear?
Nobody said that, but a couple of other people did recognise Graham Swan, so I will live with that.
but this has happened to your wife, James, hasn't it?
Oh, she was chatting to a friend of a friend in the local village, and she said, "Is your husband the pilot?" And she was, "Yes."
pilot.
Why? Does he do Top Landing Gear? Yeah. Oh, listen to that. It's great. I love it. So yes, we are people that we've
Yeah, in the village.
even
That's
non-family
not,
members.
I thought it was the local town at least. How many in the village?
Oh, it's a big village.
Okay.
It's not our village. It's the next village along.
Oh, well, that's even better. Brilliant.
Of this series, every single episode we've released has got more downloads than the one previous.
Well, that's
So-
good.
So
Well,
it's amazing.
That could be about to change.
For a bit out of practice.
So please tell your friends and send it out. And thank you for listening.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Well,
What have you been up to, Rob?
I've been doing bits of broadcasting for various different outfits. A little bit of Olympic stuff in London
Very good.
for the main broadcaster of the Olympics now in the UK, which is not the BBC, which is why the BBC had got an awful lot of stick for not providing great coverage,
I
which
see.
is not their fault. They were only allowed to broadcast a maximum of 2 live events simultaneously. So it's difficult for them. So I managed to scrape in at the last minute to help out another broadcaster with some sort of continuity, what they called continuity commentary. So it was linking between events as if you were a studio link.
So you didn't have to know anything about any of the
vision.
sports then?
That's what I was banking on. So when they suddenly threw me the 50-kilometre walk, which lasts for 6 hours, and then the women's skateboarding, where we were trying to get through to the commentators, but the line was down for half an hour. Women's skateboarding, the new young, trendy street thing. So I was...
That's you down to a
I
T,
then
isn't it?
had to commentate on that.
How long did you have to do that for?
About half an hour. And then I
Do you know anything about skateboarding?
No, I do now. Still less than I'd need to know to commentate on it as an Olympic sport. And then I was thrown a real curveball by our friends in Paris who were directing me at one stage, who said, OK, coming to our next live sport. And I was expecting a bit of a gap to go on a pre-recorded thing of athletics. We are going next to wrestling and Q. No one's talking. I think, well, he's cued the commentator. Yes, continuity commentator, this is for you. And that's me. Wrestling? I mean, I've never watched wrestling in my life.
You must have watched
Well,
it.
I've seen
in
it
the
on
70s.
World of Sport in
Yeah.
the 70s.
Big
but
Daddy,
I never knew what was
giant
happening.
haystacks.
But I didn't, I was up there for 45 minutes, basically sulking because I thought and also I couldn't talk to the director in Paris to say I don't know anything about wrestling, so I just had to. I didn't know what the scores were. Is that a good score? Is that a bad score? Do you
sounds
need
like-
more points, fewer points?
It sounds like a good episode of Top Landing Gear.
We'll find out, won't we?
It was an absolute bloody nightmare, but still great. I always wanted to do the Olympics, so it'd been a shame to
Well, at least you
be
stayed
left
awake
out.
for this one.
Pardon?
At least you stayed awake for this.
Yes, that's another story. Yeah. And some rowing, which I've been flying EasyJet out of Gatwick, which was actually very easy. Going to Bulgaria, we are of course a red-listed country to Bulgaria. Getting out of Gatwick was more difficult than getting into Bulgaria because they thought, well, you can't travel. But I've got this letter of acceptance, which was in Bulgarian. So, of course, the people at Gatwick couldn't read it. And I said, well, it's not for you. It's for the airport in Bulgaria.
Just let me go.
Well, just let me go. But every different section I went to, they said, what passport are you travelling on, sir? British. Well, you can't go to Bulgaria. I can. I've got this letter which I showed your... Oh, well, they've seen it. That's fine. You go. Very confusing. But anyway, there we are. It was lovely to be flying again. Always lovely to be flying.
Well done, you three flyers.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, you'll get up there one day.
Maybe.
With him,
Maybe.
with Roy.
Well, we'll see. Give it a while.
Now, we've got all our usual features, of course, coming up. We'll have Jez's interminable quick fact, all about gliding. Of course, the highlight of every Top Landing Gear podcast, the quiz, which, like gliding, never takes off without some kind of hitch, relies on hot air to keep it going, helmed by someone who, try as he may, is absolutely powerless to maintain control. Shall we start with Ask James, though?
Yeah.
Obviously, questions have poured in.
Yeah.
Have they, Roy?
No.
You seem to be losing your popularity, Joe. with
I
our
think it's
listener.
because I think I've explained everything by now.
Yeah.
There's nothing else left to explain.
There have been one or two quite interesting things actually have come up on Twitter that are worth discussing. There was quite an interesting thing about performance of airlines now coming back into as things get more normal. British Airways are way down on that list. Turkish Airlines are about minus 10% of their normal operating level. British Airways about minus 64%. They're operating 300 flights a week. Turkish Airlines, for example, well over 1,000.
That's probably down to the fact that British Airways' primary market is transatlantic. And so I would say about 50 to 60% of their total, maybe more, maybe 70% of their total traffic is across the Atlantic. And until the Americans let Brits into America, it's going to be knocked on. So we're waiting for that. There are rumours at the end of September...
When you say we?
As in the airline industry. Are waiting for that. As are, Virgin. I imagine Virgin's figures are probably quite similar because they're very heavily transatlantic based as well. So we're waiting for Mr. Biden to say, "Come on in, Brits," but I think he's a little bit preoccupied with telling the Afghanistan they're fine.
That's going well, isn't it?
So that's going well.
Wow. What an operation, though, for the British forces are doing
they've
stonking
done a
job.
stonking job.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got thousands and thousands out already, and they're going to be going until for the next few days anyway. So
That reminded me a little bit. The airlift out reminded me of one of the previous episodes when we talked about it was a 747 episode actually, and I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it might have been an airlift out of Tel Aviv or something, or by Israeli.
It was El Al.
Out of Ethiopia by El Al. That's exactly what it was.
1,000 passengers.
When they had 1,000, and I noticed that some of these.
C-17s.
Some of the aircraft. I wasn't sure
Just getting as many
just
as
get
they
as many
can.
as you can and flying
What
beyond.
what is quite fascinating is one of the aircraft, the helicopters that was used to get people out of the US Embassy was a Sea Knight, which is like a Chinook.
A Sea Knight.
A Sea Knight. Sea Knight.
Yeah.
Which looks like a Chinook but only has 3 wheels and is a bit smaller. And I believe it's actually the same aircraft that was used to get them out of Hanoi.
Well, the actual
aircraft was the same one that was used to get the American to evacuate the American embassy.
So is that how they've been doing? They've been helicoptering people into the airport from outlying
from outlying places for the top brass.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought everyone was just going to the
No,
airport.
they were waiting.
So
for
there's a
most
helicopter
people.
operation.
There's a helicopter operation going on as well.
Have the UK got helicopters?
No,
Just the Americans.
Just the Americans. But the Americans had some left over, I believe, from they were doing an advisory role
Yeah.
in Afghanistan.
Crikey. What a mess.
Goodness me. Wow. And closer to home, there was a newly, what do you call it? Different types of power. What do you call it?
Hybrid,
thanks. A hybrid aircraft,
Yes.
which they're testing between Exeter and Newquay.
Yes,
bizarrely
supposedly
enough.
government tests,
Yeah.
which is, I suppose, for hybrid is possibly a good way of looking at things for the future, because you use your power to get you up to cruise altitude and then back off a little bit, and you can use a different power source for cruise,
Yeah.
and then nothing for landing. You know, you can glide landing if you plan it well. So I think the government are using this to test the hybrid sort of idea and whether it will work. But it's just down in Cornwall, and so
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff going on down there because there's this space hub, isn't there? At
that's
Newquay at the
coming out of
moment.
Newquay, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's worth a visit.
Yeah.
And Roy's playing down in Cornwall.
Tomorrow.
on the beach, at Perranporth. I mean, God,
It's all
what a
happening.
life.
It's all happening in Cornwall.
I know.
What a life, yeah. Can I just ask you one more thing? I've watched, and I'm sure it's been on before, the thing about the Air France A330, which
Yes.
went down in the Atlantic
Yeah.
a number of years ago. But I don't think I'd seen this before, and I was just kind of horrified by how these two pilots had no idea of the attitude of the aircraft, that they were in fact pushing it into a stall position, and it just dropped out of the sky into the ocean.
Yeah, so that's that's one of these incidents that we look at a lot as pilots. We go back and try and work out what exactly went wrong there. To give the pilots themselves credit, I've been in a situation in the simulator where somebody gave me a no-notice instrument failure. So it was just a gradual thing. It didn't happen like that. You didn't suddenly lose all instruments, but one of the tubes blocked, simulated. And
So it's the pitot tube, which is what happened with Air France.
So one of
It
the pitot
froze.
tubes blocked
Yeah.
in the climb. And all that happens is things just start not making sense. And you're always taught in pilot training to trust your instruments. The one thing you always do when it all goes to wrong is get on your instruments and trust your instruments. And all of a sudden your instruments are now lying to you because there's an error with them. And it just takes quite a while to work out which instrument to trust. On my current type, there's actually quite a long checklist to try and work out if your airspeed's correct or not, and which one it could be, and to set certain known power settings. But so to give the Air France guys a little bit of credit, it is incredibly distracting and disorientating. The problem is what they then did was almost, you can't work out why one of them was pulling back for such a long amount of time.
Yes.
I think he had to stick back for something like 18 minutes, which was trying to make the aircraft climb, but it had run out of power, so it was stalling.
Yeah.
I believe the other pilot was trying to go to a neutral and a forward position.
Yes.
And I believe the way it works...
Because these are side stick
the
controllers.
side stick control. So there's no feedback between the two controllers. And I believe the way it works on the Airbus is one is a master and one is the slave, and you can switch which is which.
Oh, right.
And so the right was selected as the master, and they, despite the aircraft telling them something like 59 times that it was stalling, they ignored that and said, "Well,
Doesn't
we
the balance
can't."
in your ear tell you?
There's an awful lot that once things get disorientating, nothing makes sense, and you are, as I said, you're taught to kind of trust your instruments and sort of give up the seat of your pants feeling, because it can be very distracting.
You had a great idea.
Well, I thought it was a great idea, which James is absolutely rubbish. I mean, he could barely even bring himself to answer because it was such a terrible idea. But I think it's a brilliant idea. Because you saying that you lose all sense of perception with your instruments, but I'm thinking that you need a spirit level.
Yeah.
And why if you think that the aircraft is climbing or falling, and you look at a little spirit level, which would give you its actual real world, real life.
Well,
there's a bubble.
that's the problem. It doesn't, because while you think the bubble is the lightest bit, so it goes to the top, you put some sort of G or lateral turning force in that, and all of a sudden it's not the bubble moving; it's the weight of the water or the weight of the green liquid around it,
right?
That moves. So while if you're getting, for example, G, or you're turning, or any sort of acceleration, it will give you a false. If you take a spirit level in a car and accelerate, you'll see the spirit bubble move all over the place.
Right.
So it's not giving you.
But if you're in a constant nose down attitude, but you think you're going up or you're trying to go, would the bubble not just be wedged at the back of the?
It could
and you
be.
Think, hang on, that actually, that is real life. There, if I pull,
but their gyro instruments were working fine. Their gyro instruments were telling them everything was exactly as it was. So they had that main instrument. And normally that's either working or it's failed, and it tells you it's failed. So this is the issue. The gyro instruments, the ones that were telling what their pitch was, for example, were fine. But they had lost the confidence in any of their instruments, which is why they started.
What could they have done?
If they'd have unloaded the stick early on and just unstalled the aircraft. So what happened is it went into a stall.
Up.
So it was two nose up. The wings could no longer provide lift, because the angle of attack was too high.
And it was just falling.
And it was just falling flat.
Yeah.
In a nose-up attitude. And so one of the altimeters, I think, was winding down and showing them they were descending, but they were told that their speed was too high.
Right.
So
that was their descent speed.
Yeah. Well, no, it was because one of their pitot tubes had blocked. So the ambient temperature, the ambient pressure was getting more and more, and the forward speed was less and less. So there was an imbalance in that. So their airspeed was too high, and the standard thing you do with an airspeed is too high is pull the speed brakes out and raise the nose, and then close the thrust levers. So they'd done the airspeed too high, and that seemed to be the one bit of information they were focusing on, which was the one bit that was wrong.
So they could have got out of it, but they
probably would have got out of it. And so since then, we've had an awful lot of training. The worldwide pilot community said we must train for unusual attitudes and start noticing if your attitude is wrong.
Would you say your attitude is unusual, James?
My attitude's always been unusual. Ever since school, I've had issues with my attitude.
So you're saying that my spirit level idea is going to work?
It's not the best idea.
What about the fact that
trolleys? It's a lovely idea. It's mechanical.
Trolleys in the aircraft are flying backwards.
Oh, that's a good point.
You know,
that's a great point.
Did they think they were flying level, and they did not realise that they were flying with this nose?
I think they thought they actually thought they were descending,
which they were,
but
they
forward. They were descending nose down.
So and there was no physical.
I like the catering trolley.
The fact that everything, gravity will take over.
Yeah, but
even if my spirit level doesn't work, surely a trolley will always roll downhill.
There should always be a loose trolley in the aisle.
What you have to is in an aeroplane.
Yeah.
Everything only when the aircraft is under 1G, everything is as it is on the ground. The moment you turn, speed up, slow down, climb or descend, or any combination of those, gravity is different.
Right.
And
even
that's,
for a trolley.
Even for a trolley.
Okay.
Even for you, Jez.
I love the
Or indeed you.
Or indeed me.
I think he's got some cracking ideas there. Tractor
I
driver
like
over
to
there.
try and bring some practical, real-world applications to this mumbo-jumbo. That
Roy,
James
what do
thought.
you think?
Mumbo Jimbo. Roy's had to leave the studio to attend to a barking dog.
Or maybe collect our curry.
So
Or maybe.
you may have heard some dogs in the background.
Yeah. I suspect the microphone wouldn't have picked it up.
While we just haven't got Roy,
Should we slag him
I
off?
always think we should thank him off. Scout for gas finished. I think I've always thought we should do a book review on this podcast. and I've got a couple of books I'd like to review,
Oh, lovely.
but maybe another time.
No.
I'm about to start reading a book called The Moth and the Mountain, true story,
Yeah.
about tiger moth and
really?
Mount Everest, which I've been lent by a friend of mine. So I'll review that in future. And I've just read a book called Falling, which is quite a gripping thriller. Not true, but I recommend it. Can't remember who's by. She is an ex-Virgin America.
Well, they were all ex-virgins at once.
Stewardess. And she wrote an excellent book, which I recommend. Falling, listeners.
Well, that sounds great.
Falling.
I think it's a really good
Listeners.
idea. I think it's a great
Falling
idea.
listeners, is
Not
that
falling
Tom Lennon?
listeners. Yes. There we go.
There was one other bit of aviation news, which was the retirement of the Hawk T1, which has come a little earlier than we expected.
Slightly earlier, but it's not. I mean, so the Hawk T1 was only used by the Red Arrows and 100 Squadron. So 100 Squadron is the RAF's aggressor squadron who pretend to be different types.
This is at Valley.
The black ones that
the
fly
black ones
over
at Leeming.
Cornwall.
Yes, well, they're all over the place.
Yeah.
Well, the ones at Cornwall, I think, are actually FRA. They're privately owned.
They are privately
And they
owned.
attack
go with
ships.
a Dassault Mystère or
Yeah.
something. don't
So they go out, pretend to be missiles and
Yes,
things.
exactly.
And attack the ships.
Yeah.
Or pretend to attack the ships to give them training.
Yeah.
But the 100 Squadron is a Hawk Squadron which was at Leeming, I think. I'm not sure they're still there.
Yeah.
And they operate the Hawk T1 in that role of just providing a target or an aggressor for the other squadrons to train with.
Okay.
So we're getting rid of the Hawk T1. The T2 is still being used
Yeah.
at Valley,
Yeah.
so the Hawk will still fly for the Royal Air Force.
Yeah.
But the T1 is going, except for the Reds.
Yes.
So there'll be quite a lot of spares for the Reds, I would imagine.
Yes, that's true.
And then we get into the big story of what happens with the Reds
Yes.
when this retires completely.
Yeah.
So it's not, although
Because
it's,
it was
it's
originally destined for a 2030 out of
Yeah, I
service
think so.
date,
So
wasn't it?
but it's
I wonder why they've suddenly pulled it forward.
It's just a cash thing, I should think. It's supporting two types. It's two types of spares, two types of engineers. So they're just using them for the Reds.
Okay, all right. I should just tell our listeners that Roy has returned. He's covered in blood. The dog is ominously silenced.
Could you hear the
explain?
dog? Okay.
Yes.
So I could just hear the dog on the headphones, and Scruffy, my dog, had just got out, which I thought was a good sign because I thought the curry.
That's what we were hoping.
And,
It's
no,
a bad
it wasn't.
sign.
There was somebody who found the dog down the lane and said, "We're returning your dog." So that was it. So I missed that. So I'm looking forward to listening to that later.
Yeah,
I think
no,
you'll
you'll
find
love
it.
it.
Probably
Okay.
one of the most
You will
entertaining
love
segments
it.
we've ever done.
Yeah, it's all knitted together beautifully. So look, should we turn our attention then to the subject?
Yep.
This week's subject, and it's a big departure for us, isn't it? No engines, no noise. Hopefully, we'll have a silent quick facts, will we?
Well, you can have one if you like. However, I'm going to try and work my way through this.
Oh, it's
it
the
was
same
quite
old approach. Here we go. Here are
big
the
subject.
excuses.
It's
the
getting
same
slow already.
every
I mean,
week.
he's slowed down just in the apology of how bad it is.
There's quite a lot of
I'll give you an intro.
mistypes in this,
I'll
so
do
I-
the intro, and
All
you
right.
take it away. So we're now going to have Jez's quick facts all about gliding. Cue Jez.
All right. The development of heavier than air flight in the half century between Sir George Cayley, who I'll come back to in a moment, sending his coachman aloft in 1853, and the Wright brothers mainly involved gliders. The most famous pioneer was Otto Lilienthal of Germany, who, with his brother Gustav, began experiments in 1867 on the buoyancy and resistance of air. However, the sport of gliding only emerged after the First World War as a result of the Treaty of Versailles, which imposed severe restrictions on the manufacture and use of single-seat powered aircraft in Germany's Weimar Republic. You may be asking, who is Sir George Cayley?
Who is Sir George Cayley?
Well done,
Who
James.
is Sir George Cayley?
Well, I was going to then say, and if you weren't, you should be. But
Right,
you have
you
done
haven't.
now. So, well, he was an English engineer, inventor, and aviator. He is one of the most important people in the history of aeronautics, and many consider him to be the first true scientific aerial investigator and the first person to understand the underlying principles and forces of flight. Now, you don't know what I'm going to do here. I'm doing a quiz. It's a quick fact. First ever
Hold on.
quick
Hang about.
facts
Someone's going to get angry.
quiz
here.
interlude.
Okay.
Oh no, this could be my questions.
They may well be your questions, or in fact, they're my questions.
Yeah.
Now, in 1799, he
That's one of
described.
mine. Okay. Sorry.
In 1799,
Yeah.
Sir George Cayley
Yeah.
described the concept of the modern aeroplane as a fixed-wing flying machine with separate systems for lift, propulsion, and control. And he is sometimes referred to as what?
The father of flight.
Oh, haven't
There
you
was
got a
no
buzz?
bell. No one said anything about a bell or a buzzer.
You read that, haven't you?
No, I haven't.
It's not quite right, but I'll give it to you. The father of aviation.
Oh.
Yeah.
He discovered.
Can I just
I get a
say,
point for that?
I have done a quiz. I've prepared, I've sweated for weeks
Yeah.
over a quiz on gliding.
Yeah. Well,
Why have you suddenly taken on this role during your
because the way I
less
wrote
than
this,
quick
I suddenly
facts?
thought this sounds like it could be a quiz. And it hasn't
I mean-
taken me weeks, and it'll be better. And also, for once, you get to answer some questions. Or not.
Okay.
I mean, you can
And
buzz
you
all
can
like.
get your own back by making the quiz really boring and long.
But then, equally, I can deduct a point from James and give a point to you. This is how it works.
Okay.
What's this section called again? Quick
quick-
right.
But
okay,
this
yeah.
is an interlude.
Okay,
What
yeah,
he thinks
okay.
he's
This
doing.
has nothing to do with how quick the facts
If
are.
it's a quiz, that's no facts.
Well, we'll see.
Okay.
You can edit this out if you like. I don't have the power to do that, nor the knowledge.
And that was quick facts.
I mean, you may feel you know enough about gliding already, in which case I won't carry
Okay,
on.
right.
All
Come
right. Cayley discovered and identified the four forces which act on a heavier-than-air flying.
Yeah.
And those forces are what?
Lift, drag, thrust, and weight.
Correct. There we go. So that wasn't so difficult, was it?
Was that it?
Back to the gliding. As the rest of the world went about developing powered aircraft, the Germans, hampered by the Versailles restrictions, were designing ever more efficient gliders. By 1937, there were 50,000 glider pilots in Germany alone. From a humble German world record of 1.2 kilometres flown in 1920, by 1931, gliders were flying in excess of 250 kilometres. So Germany can justly claim to be the birth of modern sport gliding. But they then rather ruined it by invading Poland. After the war, many former pilots from around the world wanted to continue flying, and many took up gliding. Germany, who featured heavily in these facts, still accounts for around 30% of the world's glider pilots, and there are three major manufacturers which are all based there. Approximately 110,000 people now fly gliders around the world in 33,000 machines. The world gliding
Machines.
gliders.
Surely that's the whole point.
It is a machine.
It's a machine. Yeah, okay, it's a machine. I didn't want to say gliders again.
No, okay.
Which is why I said machines. The World Gliding Championships have happened every 2 years since 1948, and there are 6 classes open to both sexes, if I can say that,
Yeah.
plus 3 classes for women and 2 for juniors.
Do it again.
Most gliders are carbon fibre constructions to give strength and weight advantages and can now stay airborne for hours and travel hundreds of kilometres. Staying airborne relies on rising air called lift. And there are 3 types of lift, main types of lift. Thermal lift, updrafts of warm or moist air. Ridge lift, found where the wind blows against the face of a hill and is forced to rise. Wave lift, standing waves in the atmosphere, analogous to the ripples on the surface of a stream. There are also other forms of lift, such as breeze lift, but they are used less frequently.
And Schindler's Lift.
Finding and flying lift is known as soaring. While easy to learn, it takes a lifetime to master.
Oh, nice.
I think that's also what they say about Yahtzee, one of those games. Finding the best lift allows you to fly further and faster. Gliders cannot launch themselves, so 2 main methods are used to get into the air. Winch launch, using a cable to drag the glider into the air, or aerotow launch, towing the glider behind a powered aircraft. More expensive, but launches at a higher height. The Germans, Russians, Americans and British also developed military gliders. These gliders were aerotowed and featured in many raids in the Second World War. The British gliders were mainly made up of the airspeed Hawser of Pegasus Bridge and Operation Market Garden
See,
fame,
another one of my questions gone.
and the general aircraft Hotspur and Hamilcar. The Hotspur was used to train army pilots of the Glider Pilot Regiment. Last paragraph. Would you like to know some famous glider pilots?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is Jim Moore working there?
Well, he might be. He's not on this list. Amy Johnson, Barbara Cartland, Sir David Jason,
Well,
Steve McQueen, Richie McCaw,
the New Zealand
the
rugby
old
player.
player, and the top landing gear team.
Nice. Yeah.
And that, I'm not even going to say it, those are your facts.
I love that, actually. I thought that was fascinating, the development of gliding
Thank you, Roy.
in the time between the wars.
Yeah.
That's
I could have told you a lot more about that, but I decided to keep it brief.
I thought that was really fascinating. Thank you.
No, very good, Jez. Thanks very much indeed. And we wanted to make it sound as if gliding was exciting. Yeah. Still, never mind.
Well, gliding is exciting.
It is
We had a
exciting.
great
it is.
time, didn't
Yeah.
we? We did actually love our time at Trent Valley, which is why I wrote such a glowing set of facts, despite your poo-pooing it.
No, we did, and I think that's what surprised. Had you been gliding before, James?
Not. I had been gliding with the air
intentionally.
cadets.
Intentionally.
Yeah, I've been gliding with the air cadets.
Right. Okay.
I've glided a helicopter once, not intentionally.
Is it glided or glid?
I don't know.
Glad.
we never got to the end.
We never. We
I
asked
think-
for gliding.
Did we
here.
ask Trent?
What, to the past tense. If any listeners know the past tense of to glide,
Yeah.
if they could write in,
Yeah.
maybe, I don't know, fax us or something. I don't
Roy will
know.
probably give you some tickets.
We should have worked that out, considering we were talking about that when
Well,
we recorded
yeah.
this a year ago.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. I think it's glided. But we did have a brilliant time. What have you chosen? Have you, in fact, chosen a clip for our?
Yes, I've chosen. I have to say that was possibly the highlight for me, the gliding of our whole Lincolnshire trip.
But you said that about all the other bits.
Yeah, but I thought I always thought the rest of it was going to be really good.
Yeah.
And the gliding I'd never done before, and I'd never really considered it. And those guys are psychos in the air.
In the nicest possible way.
When you just let them at it,
Yeah.
when he goes, "Do you fancy doing some aerobatics?" I was like, "Yeah, brilliant." Thinking, "What can this do?"
Yeah.
And then going, "Can we stop, please?"
I agree with you. I thought, like, oh, yeah, that'd be all right. And I had to. I think I said this to Barry when he was about to buzz the tower at me, which was absolutely brilliant. Mm-hmm. I said, I'm so pleasantly surprised because I absolutely loved it. It was a real treat. And I urge anybody to go and do it because it was such fun.
I think
and I have to, I know we slightly laughed about it just now, but it is actually brilliant.
It's incredible.
I think it's quite a skillful, way to fly because you're spoiled with a powered aircraft.
Yeah.
You can always get yourself out of trouble. Whereas from the moment you're launched, you're kind of committed with one of those things.
Yeah.
To what
There's
you're
no
gonna be
going
doing.
around
There's
in that, is
not
there?
a lot of going around.
Do you think that's actually the best way that people can learn to fly?
Well, I
is
think it's the
gliding
cheapest way,
first?
and it's the most sort of natural, if you like, the closest you're going to get to a bird. It's so quiet. It's undescribable, and the launch as well. Though that was one of the winch launch got me. It blew me away.
Yeah.
The acceleration that you feel, you're in a glider, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
You should have been in our aircraft.
it's yours a lot slower, I imagine, with your
faster.
weight issues.
No, but what I'm sorry. The reason I was asking you about is it a great way to learn is because you have to probably understand so much more about what is going on in the air in terms of weather conditions
Yeah.
and cloud formations and all that kind of stuff. So is that do you think that's the best way of learning to fly because you have to understand so much more about what's going on up there in terms of
I
weather
think
and-
when I was in the RAF, those that had done gliding tended to be very good pilots. And that tended to show. So there is, yes, I think it probably is something about that. It's not the only way. You don't have to go that way, and it's not the only way. But yeah, there's something that makes you,
you have a better understanding.
you probably have a better understanding of the air as a glider pilot than you do as a fixed wing pilot.
Yeah. And in terms of videos, we must put up the video of you buzzing the tower because it is spectacular. It's also brilliantly shot. Brilliantly shot by... Oh, no, I shot it, didn't I? But it's the way you come in over our heads and then you pull up. It's like you're in a jet aircraft and it sounds like a jet aircraft.
It's actually quite noisy.
There was
isn't it?
quite
I
a lot
watched
of
it back
lift.
today.
Yeah.
It is quite it's a proper whoosh.
Yeah. No,
It
it's
was brilliant. It was. Listeners, you must go if you haven't already done it.
I'm I'm like, I always get excited about things like that, but I
No,
can't
I
wait.
did too. We all did.
Well, I think we were properly treated as well, but the guys at Trent Valley really looked after us.
Well, because we beforehand they said, "Now, do you want to do a tow with the target aircraft taking out, or do you want to do cable launch?" So I think we all said in advance. This was before we even went up there. We'd like to have a tow, and on the day they said, "Yeah, okay, now you've done the tow. Do you want to have a cable launch? And we all four of us then had the cable launch as well. It was just brilliant.
And we should give them a massive plug because they were so friendly.
Yeah.
They had such passion. They, if I lived in Lincoln, I'd be a member of that club in a heartbeat. They were just lovely people. And gliding is such a social sport because you need a number of people there to just get the aircraft up.
Yeah,
so
that's right,
I think that it is just a huge social event plus with flying, and it's so affordable. It's
I never did meet the guy operating the cable in the lorry 2 miles down the runway. Did you? Who was he?
He did come down at the end, I think, didn't he? Yes. But that was it Trent Valley,
Trent Valley
Gliding Club, Curtin Lindsay,
Dave and Barry, and some others. I'm sorry, lads, I can't remember all your names.
It's all mentioned in. I loved putting together the podcast, which is the Full Flaps podcast of our time there.
Yeah,
which is about 45 minutes and
of joy.
Yeah, it really is. I don't think you can really hear our enthusiasm and excitement like little kiddie schoolboys.
No, it's brilliant.
It was great fun.
Yeah. So, should we hear a clip?
Yeah.
Right, we've just been hooked up. I've got a recorder here, Barry, so I'll be doing some talking.
Okay.
Someone's righted our wing. Got the boys over there giving us a little wave. The tug, the Eurofox, with Robin at the controls, is just edging forward now. You can see our tow rope just about to get a bit of tension on it. There we are. And off we go. Here we go, bumping down the track. Barry's got full control at this stage. And we're up. We are up, and it's just beautiful. It's a glorious sunny afternoon. Blue sky and clouds. The little Eurofox just climbing ahead of us. Fantastic. Oh, it's just so. Even with the, you can't even hear the little tug, I don't think.
Right?
You can't even hear the tug in front of us. No.
Just a bit of wind noise. I think we've left some tape on. How high do you want to go?
Well, I've no idea. I mean, where are we now? 500 feet, is this?
We normally say 2,000 to 3,000 feet generally.
Lovely. Well, let's go the whole way, shall we? 3,000.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And when
if
will
we don't contact a thermal, we'll just get a bit longer in the air.
Lovely. Great.
Better experience.
And when will the tug release us, Barry?
We release from the tug.
Of course we do.
We'll get to 3,000 feet and release.
Yeah, lovely. A little bit of a...
thermal.
A bit of thermal. You feel all the bumps, don't you? Of course. Oh, it's just the most stunning view. What an afternoon we've picked.
Yeah, it's great. Especially for October.
Yeah, I mean, it's perfect. We need clouds, I think I'm right in saying, don't we? We've got clouds, we've got blue sky, we've got sunshine, the fields below lit up. It just looks glorious up here.
And the clouds indicate where the thermal activity is.
Okay. There's a bonfire or something down there. Does that tell us anything useful?
Yeah, it tells us where the wind's blowing.
Yeah. So we've done about almost a 360 now, coming back over the airfield. Just down there below us.
Yeah, the airfield's directly below, yeah?
Yeah, I got that. Still with the tug here, just crossing back overhead the airfield. Curtin and Lindsay. Quite a tight right turn there. Well, we're at 2,000 feet now, Barry, is that right?
Yeah, coming up to 2,000 feet. You want to go to 3?
That'd be lovely. I mean, yeah, I'll go as high as you let me. So have you told Robin in the tug how high we're going?
No, I haven't.
No.
But if we don't release, we'll keep going, I think.
Oh, fine.
Oh, he's telling us to get off.
Is he? And there we go. There's what a change. Goodness me.
He's maybe short of fuel or something.
Yeah. So when we release, the speed changes completely, doesn't it?
Yeah, we ease the speed back to gain separation between us and the tug. That's the idea, and then we peel off the opposite direction.
And he dives away pretty steeply.
Yeah. Because he's got 180 feet of rope.
Yes, of course. And what was his signal to
Did you see him wag the wings?
I didn't actually.
And then
How's
that was telling us to release.
Got you.
So I'll just see if we can get under this and see if we can find any life under this. See this the dark clouds above us?
Yes.
I'm hoping that we can find a bit of life under this.
Now, what will you feel? How will you know?
If you just feel it now. Can you feel that? No, there's not. Did you feel us rising then?
I didn't actually.
No?
No.
Okay.
I'll look at
see if we can. And if you look at the vario, the top. Now, where is the vario on yours? It's the top left. That's a vario, and if you look at this, look at it. See, it's +3 or something.
Yes.
That's telling us where the air is rising.
I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm trying to keep centered in the air, in the thermal, so that's positive all the time.
I see.
And then hopefully we'll.
So we're circling around looking for a thermal, and
We're circling round in a
in a thermal. So we
Yeah.
are actually climbing.
We're not climbing very fast, but we are climbing. We've gained about 70 feet, 75 feet since we started. If I think the thermal's more this way. If we just straighten up briefly,
Yeah.
come round a bit, try that. You feeling okay?
Yeah, feeling great, loving it.
Tell me if you start to feel a bit queasy or anything, won't you?
I will. Thank you very much indeed. I'm just feeling superb at the moment. So what's telling you that the thermal is
It's here.
here? Yes.
Well, I can feel it.
Yeah.
I'm used to it, but I can feel it. But it's sketchy.
Okay. And you said just now you wanted to go, you just stopped the turn a little bit because you felt it was over to one side a bit more.
I opened the turn out a little bit because
Yeah.
I thought it was a bit more to the west, a bit more upwind, the thermal. And in doing so, we've got a better average. Now, if you look at your altimeter now,
Yes. Just over
we're
3,000.
coming up to 2.2, aren't we?
Oh, 2,200, yeah.
Yeah, so we've gained 200 feet while we've been turning.
Oh, right, okay.
Very slowly, but nevertheless, I'll straighten up here again, just briefly.
Yes.
And I'll just see if I can gain some height to give us a bit longer in the air, and then I'll let you have a go.
Oh, thank you so much.
But prolonged, the thermal's not very strong, so we're not gaining a lot of height.
Uh-huh.
But my concern is I want to gain height to give you some longer ride.
Yeah,
But I
lovely.
don't want to make you feel sick.
No, I'm not feeling sick at all.
Okay.
And in fact, the other
That's my
glider.
fear.
That's kind of you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I can just see the other glider being hooked up down
Right.
below us. So that'll be James about to get airborne. Because we're doing an orbit just to the east of the airfield, I think I'm right in saying.
All right. Yeah, you are. Yeah. Yeah, we're losing it now. Could you feel that?
Yes.
Let's see if we can go upwind and
Yeah.
find it. Okay. So we're facing into wind now.
Yes.
Do you want to put your hands on the stick.
Lovely. Yes, please.
Okay, you have control.
I have control.
So just have a feel of the stick.
Lovely.
If you push the stick forward a little bit, see what happens.
Yeah.
All right. Nose goes down.
Goes down.
Look at the airspeed. We increase
Increasing.
speed. We're at 60 knots now.
Yeah.
You bring the stick back gently.
In fact, it wants
Nose
to come.
goes up.
Yes, it wanted to come up anyway with the increased airspeed. It seemed. Yes.
Okay.
Lovely.
If you want to stall a glider, if you bring it back, do you fancy doing a stall?
Yes.
Okay, bring it to a stall.
What am I
Listen
saying?
to the airflow.
Oh
Now
yeah.
the nails drop. So
Okay.
the glider starts,
Oh,
so we
no,
put
I don't
the-
like that.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Thank you very much. Oh,
Okay, I've got control.
lovely.
We'll just,
Thank you.
all right.
That was
So
a
it's
little.
just a stall.
Thank you. That's not a great feeling.
All right, you have control again.
Thank you very much indeed.
So,
I have control.
All right. So if we pick, can you see the steelworks over there?
Yes.
The tall chimneys.
In our
Let's-
in our 12 o'clock.
yeah, straight ahead.
Yeah.
On the nose.
Yeah.
So, right. If we just try and keep the nose on there, keep the wings level,
Yeah.
and maintain that heading. But just increase the speed a little bit. Just
The
put
nose
Yeah,
down?
that's it. Yeah. And just try and keep your nose on that, on them chimneys.
We seem to be yawing a bit.
Yeah, that's
Why
right.
is that?
Um,
Do I need a bit of rudder, or should I leave the rudder
well,
alone?
I think you're probably doing too much with the stick.
Okay. Gosh, I'm hardly moving it. Okay.
Okay, yeah, just settle down.
Yeah.
We normally fly by attitude, so if you look at the attitude,
Yes.
what I mean by that is the distance from the canopy, from the instrument panel,
Yes.
to the horizon.
Yes.
That amount of ground that you can see in view.
Yes.
So that's what we call the attitude.
Okay,
all right?
yeah.
So that's the attitude for you're doing about 45 knots.
Right.
Yeah?
Yes.
So if we move the stick forward, I'll just take control a second.
You have
If we
control.
Put the stick forward a little bit. We've got more ground in view, so a greater attitude and more speed.
I got
Yeah?
you. Yep. Understood.
But we normally fly not by the speed, but by the attitude.
Okay.
So we remember that attitude.
Yes.
And fly by that attitude.
Oh,
Yeah?
okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's the idea.
absolutely.
Okay. You have
Indeed.
control again.
I have control.
Do you want to try a turn?
I'd love to try a turn.
Okay. So maintain that attitude.
Yes.
And as we move the stick to the left, I'll do the rudder.
Okay.
And then as the glider banks, as you put more bank on, the
Yeah.
nose is going to want to drop. So put a bit of back pressure on the stick as you do it.
Understood.
Okay?
Yeah.
Have a go then.
Okay. So here we
Good
go.
look out. Good look out to the left.
left, and we're turning
Look
left.
to the right. Turn into the...
Okay.
Okay?
turn. Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. Rudder in. Okay? Keep it coming round.
Keep it going around. Sorry.
Yeah, that's good. Bit of back pressure, that's good. Yeah, that's excellent.
Nice. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, that's a nice turn.
That's very good, sir.
Thank you.
You've done this before.
No, I haven't done this before. Not in a glider.
Flown power.
I've flown a little. I mean, tiny. You know, 2 or 3.
Excellent. You're doing us level wings? Excellent. Very good. Excellent. Very good.
Beautiful. Oh, this is gorgeous.
That's great.
This is terrific. Can I try right hand turn?
Yeah, do it right.
Okay,
hand, sir.
we're
Yeah.
turning right. So look both ways.
Both ways, yeah.
And I'm just, that's
Yeah.
to just make sure there's no traffic.
Yeah. That's great.
Turning right, there's the airfield coming around across our nose. It's a lovely right hand turn.
Yes, excellent.
Wonder where James is. He's up here somewhere. And the other glider. I'll come back round to those towers, shall I?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
See what we can do. And you've put a bit of rudder on for me, have you?
Yes, I have. Okay, level up. That's great.
Oh,
Fantastic.
that's just beautiful. This is glorious.
I think we'll. Can I have control a minute?
You have control.
Just check where we are. We I think we probably need to be heading over towards the airfield a little bit.
Okay, doke.
You have control again?
I'd love control again.
You have control?
I have control. Thank you, Barry. This is the aerobatic glider, isn't it?
It is.
Let's not, though, eh?
Sorry? It's a bit. We're getting a bit low now. We're supposed
Right.
to finish
Fine.
By 1,200 feet, we're at 11 now.
Okay. I
I
suppose.
would have loved to do some aerobatics.
I suppose once you're down, once you're low, it's very difficult to get back up again, is it?
Yeah, especially today with the lack of thermals.
Yeah.
I mean, look at this. We've got a big blue hole.
And that's not good. Lovely blue sky, not good for gliding.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it is. You
Yeah.
get blue days that there's thermals around, and it's quite good. But we don't make as good cross-country speeds.
No.
You tend to fly a lot more conservatively because you don't really know where you're going.
No, of course.
You blunder into
Yeah.
the thermals rather than put the speed on. I'm going to that cloud or that cloud street. So you tend to be a bit slower.
So yeah, I'm having difficulty preventing the nose from just yawing a little bit. Is that just because the tail is?
I think that's because we're crosswind.
Oh, okay. The tug has just landed. We're currently at 900 feet now. Come down quite sharply.
Yeah. Okay, should I take control?
You take control, thank you.
Control. Well, let's get into circuit, really.
I mean, this is crucial, isn't it? Get about what height you get to when you're approaching the airfield to land.
Yeah, well, we normally get round about 750, 800 feet to do a circuit. High key point usually, but it's usually a judgment thing. We don't fly by numbers.
Okay. This is absolutely sublime. So we're what they call left-hand downwind, I think.
That's right. I can't quite. The radio's not working. The
Oh.
transmit button's not working.
Oh, isn't that again? So no one can hear us.
No.
So we're now just turning base leg at 550 feet. And the sun is pouring into the cockpit. You just get such a fabulous view in these cockpits, don't you?
Yeah, that's right.
Base leg and turning finals now. This just looks terrific. Is that the air brakes coming on, Barry?
Yeah, that's
yeah.
right.
Little air brakes are up. Let's come up above the top of the wing, just to spoil the airflow, slow us down a bit. It's quite a steep descent. Runway dead ahead. See the little tug down there. You can see the bus. Someone waiting to see us in. It might be Jez. Down we come, ready for a little bump. And what a super landing. Beautiful. Fabulous. And as we keep saying, you'll be able to hear the full experience in our full flaps version, which might be there ready for you to listen to right now. But brilliant. Thanks to Trent Valley Gliding Club.
Yeah.
Really
Legends,
great afternoon.
Top.
Excellent day up.
What's next?
We've had the
Anyone
quiz.
think? We have not had a quiz, so we're now going to have
A superior two-question quiz.
Here's how a quiz should be done. Are we ready for the glider quiz?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right, let's first of all, has anyone remembered to bring a buzzer?
Yes.
Well, we kind of have, haven't we?
Come on then. Who'd like to go first?
Not me, because I've got a...
Roy, what, you don't look ready at all for this, Roy.
My buzzer's in my mouth.
Oh, Lord.
What are you doing? Are you doing what we discussed
No,
before?
I'm going to change
You've
because
changed.
everyone had the same.
Are you
So I
keeping
found
the
other
same
ones.
one, Jez?
Well, I'll keep it if I can get to it.
Okay, you do your one.
Let's
And then
let's see if this works. There you go.
Would you like to explain what that is?
It's an acoustic variometer
Or variometer, as it's more widely called.
or variometer, and it indicates James. Well, it doesn't indicate James. It
No,
indicates James
it
where lift is.
Where lift is, but when you're going up, it goes
Yeah.
high pitched, and when you're not going up so much, it has lower pitch.
And I was privileged enough to hear that in Barry's glider, because he had it switched on.
Yes.
And I think you who didn't have it?
I don't remember
Right.
hearing this.
Mine wasn't switched on.
You can hear your screaming.
Good, lovely, thanks, James.
I was going to have the same. It was actually one of the few glider noises you can have.
Apart from whoosh.
But so I've gone for whoosh, and this is my whoosh.
How am I going to hear that?
Glider noise.
I mean, good luck, James. I don't think you'll be answering any questions.
No?
Not with that.
But he will, because he always wins. So.
Well, he always wins. Let's see.
I
Let's
think
see
he
if
will,
that
yeah.
hampers him at all.
My phone's run out of battery, so I'm going to just have to mouth, which is my one is the sound which you will hear on the full flaps when we're in the aircraft, because we did a few when you were up there. You did your commentary of the whole flight.
Yes.
But it's as you take off, and just as the toe goes, it goes clonk really loudly. And so that's it does that spike.
Can I just say, I think it's the worst selection of quiz buzzers in our
it's the
three
subject matter.
series.
For a
so far.
noiseless sort of subject.
Yeah.
There was
I think
no.
we've actually done
I
quite
couldn't
well.
find anything on the airplane movies about gliding either, which has
No.
provided most of my buzzers over the
That's
last
true.
2 years.
That's true. Well, look, are we ready then for the top landing gear glider quiz?
As will ever be.
Get ready, everybody. Good luck. Question number 1. What type of gliders did we fly at Trent Valley Gliding Club? And what type was the tug? I'll let you answer just one of those questions. You don't have to answer both. You can choose which segment you want to answer. So can you name the glider or the tug? James. Yes, I hear you, James.
I believe that
Sounds like you're gliding.
all gliding noise.
Really good.
Even though. The tug was a Kit Fox, I think.
I meant to look this up before we left, and I forgot.
Does anyone else want to come in?
No.
It's actually the Eurofox, but the Kit Fox is the American version. It's exactly the same aircraft, so James gets a point. It's the Eurofox, but it is a Kit Fox, which is of course a microlight.
Microlight,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely right.
Yeah.
The gliders we were in, Roy and James were in the Grob Acro 2, and you and I, Jez, went up in the Puchach SZD 50, which
That's what I was gonna
was
Rose
which is
off
a
the tongue.
Polish glider. I don't know if we were in the same gliders for both the Aerotow and the cable launch. Can't remember.
I think I had the same guy.
No,
for both of mine.
I don't think I did. I think I had Dave and Berry. Berry and Dave.
Yeah, good. Now, this was mentioned earlier in the pod. Our gliders, or certainly the one I went up in, had a piece of string attached to the outside of the canopy. Why?
Clunk.
Yes, Roy.
It's very primitive to see where down is, essentially.
Not quite down. Yes, James?
It's the slip indicator. So it tells you which direction the airflow is coming from.
Yeah,
Oh, there we go.
it's a slip indicator, I'm afraid. So it tells you if you're flying clean. Nice and straight, yeah.
Balanced.
It's a shame, Roy, because I thought you had that
know,
earlier.
yeah.
Sorry.
That's
And I gave you a
that's almost
chance.
a point away.
From no point.
Yeah. Now, glider pilots need to know all about thermals, as Jez has pointed out to us. But what is a heat gen thermal?
Just answer the question. Don't worry about the buzzer.
Listen to some silence first.
Yeah. Oh yes, James.
It's from a whether the ground there's a ground source, for example, a power station or a car park which has been heated up by the sun.
That's brilliant. Like a heat generator thermal.
Yeah.
That's really clever. It's actually incorrect.
Okay.
The answer is a lightweight thermal for layering or wearing on its own that promises to keep you cozy. It's made from a special fibre. This extremely soft, lightweight piece is designed to keep you warmer when the weather gets chilly. For as little as £5.99 from M&S, in-store and online. M&S, for when you've run out of alternatives. That is the Heat Gen. Quite good value, isn't it? £5.99.
Are we sponsored all of a sudden?
No, we're not.
Soon will be. Next question. Well done. It's going well. What do the single-seat Fournier RF4 and two-seat RF5, the Slingsby Falk, and the Grob G109B, to mention but a few, have in common?
Clunk.
Yes, Roy.
Engines.
Correct! Yes, Roy. Well done. They are all motorised gliders.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Which means they can, of course, self-launch.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. Yeah. We used to get the Fourniers over us a lot at home. I think they flew out of Red Hill. I think maybe Tiger Club. I'm not quite sure. Yeah. Well done. That's absolutely brilliant. Now, my next question was about the gliders in World War II. So that's gone.
Horses.
Horses is actually the right answer. Well done. Okay, do you want to name a mission that the gliders were particularly... yes, Jez.
Operation Market Garden.
Operation Market Garden, absolutely right, which was to capture
the bridges at
Arnhem Bridge.
Yeah,
Arnhem, well done. And perhaps more famous even than that,
Well, the D-Day landing.
Pegasus Bridge.
Pegasus Bridge, yes. Which, of course, 50 years after that event is where I met Just Jane.
Just Jane.
Just James.
Good, well done. That's a point to me. Excellent, very good. Now, this is from my friend Biff. He's a TV cameraman. He was covering the rowing at the Tokyo Games in a tracking vehicle. He's always done that. It's very good. He's also a pilot. Right. He's also a glider pilot. Right. So he sent me in a few questions, and this I absolutely love, and it's actually from Pilot Magazine. All glider pilots need to know and understand cloud formations. The singer Joni Mitchell had a hit in the 60s with a song all about clouds. I've looked at clouds from both sides now, from up and down. You know the song?
Yes.
We could sing it. Roy, would you like to sing when you've stopped crying?
No, come on.
Had she been sitting alongside an instrument-laden pilot, or indeed in front of a glider pilot in a tandem glider cockpit, with no auxiliary oxygen available, and flying in an unpressurized aircraft, at which of these cloud types could she actually have looked at from both up and down? Okay, I'm going to give you a choice.
I don't know what the answer might be.
Okay, right.
The stratocumulus, cirrostratus, nimbostratus, or stratus. In fact, there's only one where she couldn't have looked at clouds from both up and down, and from both sides. Now, Jez.
What?
Nimbostratus.
Incorrect. James.
The cirrostratus.
Absolutely right. Would you like to explain the answer?
Because they're high-level clouds, formed normally above 15,000 feet and higher, and then basically ice crystal clouds, whereas all the others...
That's enough there.
Sorry.
You got it right.
Good. And would you like to...
that it was the high one, though, didn't you?
No, I thought it was a high one.
Exactly.
I'd temporarily forgotten. I was just getting
Nimbo means rain, and stratus means layered.
Yeah, I think it was high rain.
Well, what event led to the setting up of the Gallengung gliding club?
Oh, clunk.
James.
Well,
All right. Do you think Roy?
give it to Roy. Let Roy have
All
a
right.
chance.
All right, Rog. Good luck. You got this?
I don't think I have. Well, I thought, is it to do with escaping from a prisoner of war camp?
Oh, like your glider from...
Colditz.
Colditz.
Yeah.
No, but
No.
why did
Okay.
I not think of that? No, it's not.
No.
Lovely idea. Who was next?
It was
I was
James.
going to say exactly the same thing. So,
Were you?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not. Yes, Jez.
Sorry. This outbreak of the Second World War.
No, it's this. It's the Jakarta incident, or Speedbird 9, 24th of June 1982. It's the BA 747 that lost all 4 engines after flying through a cloud of volcanic ash from Mount Gallengung, which is 100 miles or so off the coast of Jakarta, and it glided for about 12 to 15 minutes, descending from 37,000 feet to 12,000 feet before they restarted the engines and landed in Jakarta. Eric Moody, do you remember? He became really quite a notable figure after that. He was the captain.
I read the lyrics for Oliver.
Ron Moody.
Ron.
And he played Fagin. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was an amazing... And can I just read a couple of the add-on bits which I just love? His announcement to passengers, which is... Do you know this, James? It's become a thing of legend. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We have a small problem. All 4 engines have stopped. We're doing our damnedest to get them going again. I trust you're not in too much distress. I mean, talk about understatement. Isn't that just wonderful? And then the windows were completely sandblasted, so they couldn't see out as they were landing visually. The ILS at Jakarta was only half functioning. They didn't have a glide slope. So the co-pilot was looking out of the window and sort of calling the heights and so on. And they eventually managed to touch down and did a great landing. But again, Eric Moody said that following that, just looking through this sort of misted view through the windscreen with his co-pilot calling out the descent was a bit like negotiating one's way up a badger's arse. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that lovely? So, yeah, it was a memorable event. And for a bonus point, this happened on a leg. It was a flight from London to Auckland in New Zealand. But this leg was going to Perth, and the crew had boarded it at the starting point for that leg. Which city had the aircraft just departed before it flew into the volcanic cloud? Yes, James.
Bangkok.
Bangkok is not correct.
Kuala Lumpur.
Got a buzz. Got a buzz.
I'm going to let him do it. You want to get one like clunk. Clunk.
Go on, clunk, go on. Yes, Jared.
Is it Kuala Lumpur?
It is Kuala Lumpur. Well done. Of course it is.
Stop it
They
now.
flew out of Kuala Lumpur, the world's capital. Good. And we're almost there. Actually, there's one other thing. I did actually discover that the longest gliding flight by an airliner was an Airbus A330 of Air Transat Canada, which suffered a fuel leak and ran out of fuel midway across the Atlantic. And amazingly, they managed to glide for 75 miles and made an emergency landing in the Azores, making it the longest passenger aircraft glide in history.
Right.
And it was nicknamed the Azores Glider after that.
There's a very famous one called the Gimli glider as well, which is in Canada, and they got a bit of a fuel error where they loaded pounds of fuel and they thought they'd loaded kilos of fuel.
Oh, my goodness.
And they were all of a sudden in a Boeing 767 glider variant.
It's terrifying, isn't it? Yeah.
Have you ever been in a fuel issue state on an airliner
No,
that was your fault?
no, never.
What about any beagle pup
Nope,
or bulldog?
that wasn't a fuel issue.
No, but did you
a
ever have a
hedge
fuel
issue.
issue? In there?
No.
Helicopter?
What about in a sim?
Yeah, well, they always try and run you out of fuel in the sim.
Yeah.
That's in. We often get fuel. We practice fuel leaks a lot in the sim.
Yeah.
And if you don't get a move on, you can find yourself
Have you
embarrassed.
glided? In the sim?
I've glided, but only for practice. So they put us over London
Right.
at about
Oh, wow.
10,000 feet and said,
Really?
"Your engines have just failed. What are you going to do?" And then I've a 777 glider.
You didn't do what Barry
Well-
did with.
So I buzzed the tower a couple of times, and
Set it down.
So what did you do?
well, no, you just sort of you plan an approach, and so in fixed wing flying, as you'll get to, you have positions called high key and low key. So high key is pretty much over the landing point,
Yeah.
above it by about, depending on the aircraft type and the glide range, about 3,000 or 4,000 feet, and then you look to be abeam the. So that you then fly straight forward to a turn left or right.
Yeah.
Until you're then downwind,
Yeah.
beam the landing point to a position called low key, which is about 1,500 to 2,500 feet, and then you'll glide in from there. So
Right.
the idea is to get yourself overhead the airfield at about 6,000 feet.
Right.
If you find yourself low,
Yeah.
then you adjust those positions to somewhere else. So you have this mental model of where you're going to...
So
And so you-
old Sully, sorry, Royce, old Sully Sullenberger, he was gliding.
He was in a glider, yeah, that was a glider.
And
But
he didn't have enough height.
he didn't have enough height to
LaGuardia
get
or
back to
JFK.
any airport. So he'll just look for a big open area to land, which was the Hudson.
Yeah. Well, there was that BA 777 that glided the last few.
Yeah, it had
half a mile
the
off
first
an
engine
oil.
failure was about 2 miles out, I think, or 3 miles out, and then the second one was about a half a mile out.
Is there a point at which your forward speed would be so low that you couldn't continue?
Yeah, well,
you couldn't start a glide. So if you're at altitude and you're at speed,
Yeah,
you're in a better position, presumably.
yeah.
than
If you're flying,
low.
if you're flying, you can glide because you just glide, but you'll have to start a descent. What you would normally try and do is you have a sort of ideal gliding speed, which is called the green dot speed, I think, and you will try and get any extra energy you've got, you'll convert to height. So you pull up to give yourself that extra height until you're at your gliding speed, and then come down at the most efficient gliding speed.
So something like a Typhoon, which we already know shouldn't fly,
Yeah.
if that could that glide?
I think it would only glide if the computers were still working.
Right.
If you lost electrical power, then it can't fly anymore because it's inherently unstable, and you've got a Martin Baker glider attached to your seat.
Very good.
Would you like one final question?
Oh, yes.
The scores are at the moment: Roy 1, Jez 2, James 3.
Jez, you can.
So,
catch
Jez,
up
you
there.
could catch up, which would then take us to a decider.
So let's unlock the
Let's
phone.
unlock the phone. Hang on, let me just.
Yeah, okay.
There is a thermal available.
Very good. Well done. What is the longest distance a glider has flown in the UK? Yes, Jez. Closest wins.
120 kilometres.
120 kilometres. Could you convert that to miles for me?
Fewer.
Jolly good. And James?
I'm going to go for about 650 miles.
The answer is 688 miles by John Williams in a 20-metre wingspan glider in 2007. So James gets...
Roy didn't get a shot.
Oh, right.
688
Yes, Roy,
miles.
well done. Great. Okay. Last question. Sorry. It was too close, isn't it? Which craft regularly made or glided the longest distance and from where to where? And what was the craft?
Oh.
Yes, Jez.
The space shuttle.
Absolutely phenomenal. That's a great answer.
well done.
Bonus point option. From where to where?
Space to Earth.
Great. You've won. Well done. More accurately, edge of space to the Mojave Desert, but I'm giving you the final scores are this.
If I had a
Roy,
microphone, I'd drop it.
Roy 2, James 3, Jez with a last gasp 4.
Well done.
So you're giving him a point from
course I
space to Earth.
Yes, brilliant. Brilliant answer. Well done, bro.
Thanks,
Fantastic.
mate. We haven't even talked
Excellent.
about that, have we?
Nepotism in this quiz is just
Well, sometimes
worse
you've got to
and
realise that you're
worse
not actually
and worse.
the expert.
Well
Space
done.
to Earth.
I found it a difficult one to compile.
No, you did very
the
well.
glider
actually,
quiz.
Yeah,
I found
that-
it very hard to do those quick facts.
How did you find that a difficult one to compile? There was 1, 2, 4. There was 9 questions.
Well, actually, quite a lot more. I just ran out of steam. Yeah. Well, I got my friend Biff to help me. Thanks, Biff.
Oh, cheers, Beth.
Yeah.
Cheers, Biff.
Oh, yeah. Good. Well done, everybody. That was a lot of.
that was a
Should we say fun?
it was a travesty. Is what it was.
It's a bit of a
Like the
challenge.
gliding, it was a surprising amount of fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was amazing. Yeah.
Good. So there we are. Now, anything else anyone would like to talk about before we let the listeners loose?
What's next?
Or free?
What's our next pod?
Well,
And
it'll
where are we
be-
going next? Where are we going next week?
Well, next pod will be microlighting.
Yes, but I think we should give a big plug to the Bournemouth Air Show, which we are going to be
Bournemouth
attending
Air Show, yeah.
next weekend.
But by the time this pod goes out, Bournemouth will have been and gone. I suppose.
No, it won't. No,
Jolly good.
yeah.
Oh, when's
In
this going
fact,
out, this
But this
one?
will go out next Tuesday.
Oh, tremendous.
And so it will be this weekend. So if you want to come to the busiest, I think it's the biggest air show in the country in terms of the number of people who come to it. It's completely free of charge if you can get to Bournemouth. You just turn up.
Oh, because it's
We'll be-
seafront. It's on
Yeah,
the
'cause it's
seafront,
on the
isn't it?
seafront.
We'll
Yeah,
be
you-
there.
We'll meet the team.
Yeah, we're going to meet all the teams.
That's got to be a
And
draw,
anyone
hasn't
needs
it?
to just
That's
ask-
going to get people down there.
Go
isn't
there,
it?
ask anyone, say, "Can I meet the top landing gear team?" And they'll point you in the right direction.
We haven't got a stand, but we might just be standing.
We've got some stickers.
We might have some stickers if we can
bring
agree
a
on which
tractor and a
sticker.
trailer. We could set up on the back of the trailer,
Yeah,
couldn't we?
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
That's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, well, we're all looking forward to that. We're excited. We're thrilled.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, you can, of course, still listen to all our podcasts from this series, as well as series 1 and 2. And you'll find us wherever you normally get your podcasts. Please do get in touch with us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Top Landing Gear. And do email us your questions. We really do need some questions
We
for
do
Ask
now,
James,
yeah.
don't we?
Yep.
That's info@landinggear.com.
info@landinggear.com.
I'm always so excited about this bit.
Oh, at the
I
end.
got- yeah, the end.
Same here.
Yeah, info
Well, send us some questions on pronunciation for Rob.
pronunciation. Someone misspelt it. Someone left out the O. Yeah, isn't it ridiculous? The English language, eh? Yeah. So info@toplandinggear.com. That's info@toplandinggear.com.
2 Gs.
Two Gs.
Two Gs.
Thank you so much for that. And however you're listening to us, if you still are, please recommend us to your friends and family, and do leave a review, but only if you've enjoyed it. So I don't think there'll be that many reviews. In the meantime, thank you so much for listening, and from us all, bye for now.
Right.